Happy Canada Day, you hosers. So, in honor of Canada Day, I've decided to have the first ever Canada Day crazy cryptid kaiju kitbash, where I'm going to take some things and make a horrible monster out of them. And since it's Canada Day, what could be more Canadian than the majestic moose? So I'm going to take this nice little moose figurine and turn it into a horrible monster that can be used for tabletop games. I will be using parts from this toy squid, this skeletal dragon Halloween prop I picked up a couple of years ago, and this discount Star Wars toy that every crafter in the universe bought to make something out of because it has lots of cool tentacles on it. So, it should be weird and very Canadian, eh? So, let's see where we go. So step one is to take this here dragon apart. It's got all these little teeny Phillips screws. So let me disassemble him and we'll be right back. So I have the dragon all disassembled, and save this guy for later for a different project. So I'm thinking of using the wings. I will definitely be using the tail, and I might actually hack up the rib cage and see if I can't get the rib cage and the spine to go along his back, and that should look pretty creepy. So it's time to hack up some plastic. So we'll be back. Okay, so I have the rib cage and tail detached and jumbled down a bit. It's looking very Geiger alien-ish, which is kind of cool, and it actually fits fairly well. So I'm going to glue this on with some E6000, clamp it, and let it dry overnight, and let's see how it goes. So for the sake of speed, I've actually used good old-fashioned super glue, because I just wanted it to hold on. E6000 can take 24 to 78 hours to cure, and though it'll probably be a stronger hold ultimately, don't have that kind of time. So I'm also going to be using a lot of putty to fill in the gaps, and that will help keep things together. So I've got it clamped, and I'm letting the super glue dry while I start prepping some of the other parts. Okay, so our lovely little moose creature has some interesting features. I'm still not sure if I'm going to put the wings on him or not. Might look a little too much. Besides, he needs more tentacles, I think. It's a very Cthulhuid critter. Cthulhu. I don't know. We'll have to have a little naming contest for him later. So I'm just going to, oops, put away there. Keep dropping things. I'm going to put away some of my toys. All the glue sets. And then carry on. Added some more tentacles to his head. Kind of looks like a bit of a mind flayer moose. Marty the mind flayer moose. Because reasons. Yeah, it's pretty creepy. It's going to look great when it's painted. I have some more ideas. Yeah. Okay. That's enough for now. It occurs to me that I've probably been talking too quietly. So hopefully this video, the audio turns out so you can hear what the hell I'm saying. Otherwise I'm going to have to like subtitle it or overdub it or some shit like that. So yeah, there you have it. So, onward. So, here we go. All kinds of tentacles and stuff. Next, I will be adding epoxy putty to fill in the gaps and sculpt them out a little bit. And maybe one or two other little items. And then paint him up. See how he looks. Yeah. Coming up with a stop block for this guy should be interesting. Well, hello everyone. We're on day 2 of my monster moose crazy cryptid kaiju conversion. And I think I've added enough stuff. And now I need to basically finish him off. The first step is going to be using some epoxy putty to fill in the gaps and strengthen the bonds so that stuff doesn't fall off. And then on to paint. I was actually going to put a bunch of eyes on the antlers, but I think he looks better blind. It's creepier that way. So, yeah. So, first we gonna mix up some putty. This is just good old 2-part epoxy putty I got at Home Depot. Probably a better stuff for this job would be like green stuff or milliput, but I never actually have bought any of that stuff. I will one day, but right now I'm just going to use this. It works. And it's a lot easier to get than the other things around here, I can tell you. So you put that back on so the end doesn't dry out. Put it back in the tube. And has a little plastic wrap on it, like a little sausage, which is hard to remove with gloves. Yeah. Okay, that's just gloss. All right, so you kind of want to mix it together. This is just a silicone cooking mat, which is helpful for not getting stuff stuck to your working surface. So I know with others you can use water to smooth them down. I'm going to try. I've never actually done that before. We'll see if that actually helps with sculpting. First I'm going to fill in his hip area here. So let's see if the water works. Yeah, it does. It makes it less sticky. Silicone tip tool, and it's a little bit too soft for that application. One advantage of this putty is it's very strong. It's really meant for repairs and so on. And it can be sanded and painted. Quite easily. Take a little bit off here and put it in this screw hole here. Okay, so you get the general gist of that. So I'm going to add some more, but you don't need to endure all of that. And we'll be right back. So I've got all the putty on, the epoxy, and I've started to use what the gray stuff is modeling putty from Tamiya, which I was using to fill in the gaps, but it stippling it on with the brush also gives a nice texture, which I think will help bring out some detail when I paint it. So I'm going to continue stippling on some putty, especially on these kind of smooth skeletal parts. So just kind of spread it and then use the brush to stipple, which brings out some details, adds a bit of texture. I'm sure this brush will be garbage by the time I'm done, but it was a older garbagey brush to start with. So I will continue on. Okay, so the assembly is done. Monsterification is complete. I just need to wait for all the putty to cure, and then I will take it outside and give it a good base coat primer, and then paint it up, and then call it done. I won't need to put a base on it. It stands perfectly fine on its own, and that way it won't obscure any terrain you put down, because it's very large, take up a lot of space. It'd be really neat to plunk this down in front of some players someday and say, here, you're fighting this, whatever the hell this is. So, onward and upward.